My name is Carrie Ginger, and I am your host of Know Better, Live Best. Our guest today is no stranger to Bytable foods in this podcast. Madie Hart is the creator of Social Butterflies and our social media consultant for Bytable Foods. She joins me on the podcast and talks about her journey into health and wellness, how she got started with social media marketing, and a funny story about how she first heard of Bytable Foods. Madie also gives great advice for growing businesses and encourages people to just get started. You are never too old to learn a new skill. Know Better, Live Best is dedicated to supporting food and health literacy in people of all ages. Our mission is to cut through the misinformation surrounding food, health, and nutrition because we believe that when people know better, they can make the right choices and live their best lives. We are presented by Bytable Foods. They use blockchain and Internet of Things technology to build traceable, transparent food systems because it shouldn't take an investigative journalist to find out where food comes from. Hi, I am here with Madie Hart. Madie, thanks for coming today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited about this.
I know. I usually see you like on Facebook and Facebook Live, so now I actually get to sit here and talk with you.
And I'm so excited because I do Facebook Live all the time, but this is my first ever podcast episode.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So I have to say, too, so you're actually my second cousin.
Yeah.
And for listeners out there, the last time, other than recently, that I saw you, I think you were like 4 years old, and I was babysitting you. I brought my best friend over, and we watched you and your sister Gabby, and that's like the last memory I have of you. And so here we are reunited.
Right.
It's kind of interesting how like life comes around.
It's so funny because I don't even remember.
No, you wouldn't. But you liked me better than my friend because I had long dark hair like your mom. I'm pretty sure that's why. Because you didn't know me any better than my best friend that came with me. So
all right.
I think that's why I had long dark hair like your mom. So why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself and maybe why we have you on here?
Well, I live here locally in the Quad Cities, and I am actually the creator of the Social Butterflies page where I empower and teach you to create your own location independence, financial freedom, and success through entrepreneurship and social media marketing. And through Social Butterflies, I have started doing social media consulting for Bytable Foods. So any Facebook post that you see from Bytable, that's me doing the posting.
And I love because I'm on there. I'm like, oh yeah, that's coming up. I'm like, oh, Maddie's doing a great job, and we're on there, and everything looks great, and we're very happy we have you on our team.
Well, thank you.
And I have to say, with the Social Butterflies, I follow you on there, and I'm not a big lipstick person. I actually have a little bit on today, but I've been better about putting it on because I'm like, oh, I think I do look a little better with it. And so it's like, I really think you're the reason. I like remember to maybe get done up a little bit more. I'm like, you know what? I do feel better with a little makeup on. Instead of it's Saturday and my kids are asking, is it church day? Because like, Mom, you got ready. So I'm like, no, I'm just trying a little harder, boys.
Yep. And that's so funny because, I am a makeup girl and it really lipstick just pulls everything together. Yeah. And it just makes you feel a little bit more confident about yourself, I think.
I know. So how long have you been doing like the social media? Because I was looking back and it's been going on for a little while.
So I started using social media and diving a little bit into social media marketing back when I was working in health and fitness in Chicago. That's what really kind of opened my eyes to the power of social media marketing. I didn't do a whole lot with it, but here and there I would film myself doing exercises or take pictures of myself doing the exercises and post that to Facebook or Instagram just to try to draw more people in. Because for those of you who don't know, personal training is actually sales.
Yeah?
Yep. You have to be able to get people to buy the training from you in order to make a career. You're not just paid to hang out at a gym. In fact, you don't get paid at all if you're just hanging out at the gym. You have to be with a client. So I started exploring social media marketing then, but it wasn't until I had relocated back to the Quad Cities and started doing network marketing that I really started to learn the ins and outs of social media marketing. And back in January was when I really committed to doing it every single day and making a career out of it. So it's been going on for quite a while, a couple years. Yeah.
Well, I look up to that. I'm someone who is a little nervous putting herself out there. So is that how you started? Like, you're in Facebook Live all the time. You're just up there and it's no big deal. And I did one Facebook Live with you and I was extremely nervous. So have you always been this outgoing, or is it something that you kind of just forced yourself to do?
It's definitely something that I've grown into. So I was reflecting on this the other day because right now I am a part-time coach at Orange Theory Fitness, and one of the members there asked my dad, who has been coming to classes, like, oh, has Madie always been this outgoing cheerleader? And he's like, no, as a kid, she was actually really shy. And I was thinking back and I was like, I was really shy. I was an anxious kid. I didn't really talk much, especially in groups. But as I got older, I started getting into cheerleading and getting into other things where I just started getting that adrenaline rush from being in front of people and from performing in front of people. So it's definitely been an evolution throughout my life of getting comfortable, putting my face out there. But now I love it. And it's very rare that a day goes by that I'm not doing a Facebook Live somewhere.
Right. I see it all the time. Like, good for you. Because to me, public speaking is something that's more difficult to me. And I think a lot of listeners out there would relate to that. And I had a former principal one time say, I don't know how you teachers have such a hard time talking in front of the staff and parents. You talk all day long in front of people. I'm like, wait a minute. Yes, I talk all day long in front of people, but they're 5 and 6 and I can make them love anything I say. So I feel like it's different when I'm up there, because I'll pull out like a ukulele that I stole from my brother. And I have this like big gold microphone that I sing with them and I feel like I'm performing. But again, they're 5 and 6 and they want to have fun. So I feel like outside of that, I get very nervous about public speaking. So I see people that do that and I just, envy that. And it's with this podcast, I love it because I enjoy talking to people. And so I feel like it's taking me out of my comfort zone. I'm learning new things because, like I said, just from watching you with your social media and not being afraid to just put yourself out there. Because that's what I am. I'm afraid of like, oh, what are people going to say?
Right.
And it's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Put it out there. You know what you're doing is important. And I mean, have you dealt with that? I mean, just worrying about what you put out there or what people think?
Definitely. So the main thing that I tell people when they're getting started, because I do a lot of social media coaching and helping others get started and take their business onto social media, the first live videos that you do, nobody's going to see them. Like, the people who tune in are going to be your mom, your grandma, maybe your sister or cousin or somebody. Like, it usually ends up being family members or your really close friends that are seeing your first couple live videos. So people are always so nervous to hit that button because they're like, everyone's gonna see me, everyone's gonna tune in, and that's really not the case. And for even now, sometimes I'll do a live video and it'll say I have one live viewer and it's my mom.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. So, like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there because it's not like your whole Facebook friends list is going to tune in. In fact, it's usually only about 7% of your friends that are going to actually see that video when you're first getting started. So,
that is interesting because when we did the Facebook Live, I was talking to some of my friends, and one friend in particular, she just likes everything I do because, well, I've known her since it's the one that babysat you with me. I've known her since I was 4. Like, no matter what, I could do the silliest thing, and she'd be like, "Oh, great, Carrie, yeah, fabulous." And I asked her, I'm like, "So what do you think?" She's like, "Of what?" And she even had a hard time going out and searching it out to find it. She actually had to go find it. So you're right. You're really speaking to like a small percentage of people that first time. So that's what I keep telling myself. I'm like, Carrie, it's not a big deal. It's good to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Right. So kind of with, I know you're a fitness instructor, and I know you do the makeup. Has fitness always been something that's been a part of your life? I know you mentioned cheerleading.
Yes. So I come from an extremely active athletic family, especially on my mom's side. So my mom is just a crazy powerhouse runner. Like, I think she can do a 5K in like 21 minutes. She's insane. So my entire life, I've grown up watching her, make it a priority to go out and run every day because that's what she enjoys and that's how she stays active and stays healthy. So as a kid, she would be going out for her runs, and then sometimes she'd be like, all right, you guys are coming on a bike ride with me. And as a kid, you're like, because we lived in Salt Lake City for a while, and she would make us go up these hills where we lived, like right at the foothill of the Rocky Mountains. And oh my gosh, we'd have to get off our bikes and like push them up the hills because they were so steep. And as a kid, you're like, this is not fun.
No.
Like, I don't want to do this.
I'm tired. My legs hurt.
But then as an adult, I missed that feeling. So of course I started looking into what I wanted to do for myself, because obviously like running miles and miles a day isn't what, like, that's not my forte.
Right.
But shorter, effective workouts like high intensity interval training is definitely what's helped me stay active. And back when I was in high school, I actually had a health scare where I was diagnosed with Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, which is a heart condition where basically there's an extra electrical pathway in your heart and it can cause an irregular heartbeat. I started noticing it first when I was in 8th grade. I remember the very first time it happened, and I just thought that I had gotten too anxious or worked up about something, and I just laid on the couch until it stopped, and I didn't tell anyone that it was happening. And then it happened again that same year when I was trick-or-treating. I think it was one of the last years I went trick-or-treating. I was in 8th grade.
Right.
So,
yeah, out with friends, having fun.
Yep. And I remember asking my friend who I was with, like, hey, is it okay if we go, like, sit down for a little bit? And then it stopped. And then here and there throughout high school, like, I would notice it happen. And finally, like, I started talking about it with my parents, and we got me to a doctor. And when I was 16... I had it corrected just with a heart ablation. It's a really not crazy procedure. Like, they go in through your arteries, actually like around your hip, and go up into your heart and kind of shock that area and close that extra electrical pathway, like burn it shut, which totally fixed it for me, luckily. But by going through that whole experience and waking up in the hospital and being 16 years old and just feeling like terrified, that really helped me, or inspired me, to learn to help others prevent that from happening to them, because heart disease is such a big thing now.
Yes.
Like, it affects so many people. And I knew then that if I could help someone prevent that from happening to them, like my condition I was born with, but a lot of people, it develops through,
Diet, and many
diet,
other lifestyles. Yes.
So that was what really inspired me to pursue a career in health and fitness, was going through that experience. And I wanted to help others not have to go through that,
right,
if possible. Because even though mine was fixed with a minor procedure, some people aren't so lucky.
No. No. And I think it's interesting how it takes those moments and it kind of changes our life. Like, mine wasn't like a health scare. Mine was just, okay, I am too young to be stuck in bed type deal.
Right.
And obviously my surgery went very well, and I'm forever grateful for that. But I'm actually almost grateful for my back issues, because it's really turned my nutrition around. And I'm still working on the fitness part between the back and the knees. But I know turning my nutrition around is a big deal for my body with how I feel and keeping up with my kids. So I am kind of grateful, although I don't wish my back issues upon my worst enemy, which I don't even think I even have one. But still, if I did, I wouldn't wish it upon them. But I look at how it's changed my life in that way. And like I said, if that can help someone from looking into healing something they're dealing with, I think more power to me, more power to them, because it takes a moment, and we realize how precious our life is. Even though we know that, I still think you need a moment sometimes, unfortunately, to turn you in that direction. So that's interesting. I didn't know that about you.
Yeah. And, at the time I was 16, and in high school I was part of the swim team. I was on the diving team. And that's when I started getting into cheerleading. And when I was first diagnosed with this condition, I, of course, went to Dr. Google and looked it up, which was a huge mistake.
Yep. Been there.
Yep. So I found all these articles of other teen athletes that died, like would just drop dead because their heart, they go into this irregular heartbeat. And then, of course, I had a lot of anxiety. That was very just emotionally difficult time in my life. And I had to wear a heart rate monitor for 3 days, like taped to my chest. I couldn't shower. And that was during swim season too. So my coach was sending me out on the track to go run instead of getting in the pool because I couldn't get it all wet. That was really hard. So that's what really inspired me to pursue health and fitness as a career. And that's eventually what I went on to college to do.
That's awesome. How it changed your whole life direction. So this happened when you were 16. So obviously it didn't stop you, didn't make you nervous to do things, because then you went into tumbling, I think. I mean, 17's not old, but I think it's an older age to pursue tumbling. So tell me, how did you get into that?
Yeah. So I was in swimming, and I decided that I was going to try out for the cheerleading team my sophomore year of high school. I tried out. So I was really strong being a swimmer. So I made the varsity team to cheer for girls basketball that winter. So excited. And I just fell in love with the sport. And I knew that that's where I wanted to be. And I decided I wanted to pursue cheerleading at the college level. And to be a college cheerleader, you have to know how to tumble.
Yep.
So I signed up for tumbling classes when I was 17 years old. And I was in the classes with like the 10-year-olds or younger. And they would ask me so many funny questions. They'd be like, "Are you married?" And I'm like, "No, I'm in high school." Like, but they don't know. They just know I'm someone that's way older than them, like trying to learn the same skills. So, going through that, if anyone who wants to learn a new skill, whether it be something athletic like tumbling or just a new skill, a new business or something like that, any new skill, like, you're never too old to learn. And even if you are in the class with the beginners, like, don't let that get you down, because it's what am I trying to say here? Like, just go for it.
Yeah.
Don't let anything hold you back, even if you're in a class with 10-year-olds.
Well, I think of everything you can miss just from letting your mind tell you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're too old for that, or, oh, there's 10-year-olds in my class. I can't be in a class with 10-year-olds. It's right. Do it.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't do it yet.
Right. Exactly.
Go find a way. It's like that power of yet. I tell my kindergartners, they're like, I can't read yet, or I can't read. I'm like, try that again. They're like, yet.
Right. So at the time, I was like, I can't tumble yet. But I'm going to work with these 10-year-olds.
Right.
Show up to class once or twice a week and learn all these skills. So I really dedicated a lot of time my senior year of high school to learning how to tumble. And I was going to as many classes as I possibly could. And that's what also inspired me to go into diving, because that was something I really wanted to try. So I was doing swimming and diving at the same time my senior year of high school. So I was kind of splitting my practices in half. But it was just something I wanted to try, and I wasn't sure I was going to get another chance, later on. And I eventually, when I was looking at colleges, I had one college recruiting me for swimming, a different college recruiting me for diving, and a different college recruiting me for cheerleading. So it was funny how that all kind of came together just by saying yes to the opportunities and deciding to go for it as a senior. Like, most people don't start new sports as a senior in high school.
That's when they're stopping some of their sports. So you chose the cheerleading path.
Yes.
So you went on, and so you competed throughout your entire college career you had? I think that's amazing. So after college, and you are also a mother. Soon to be, well, I still call it too, but and so how has that changed your career? So you were already, I think, starting the social media career. So how did that alter anything?
Well, actually, so back in college, I was doing the cheerleading, and I have always been one of those people, like, I didn't love going to class. And I didn't love having these assignments that I had to get in, and knowing that I wasn't making an income. I started my first job when I was 14. So I just, have always been like this worker. And I realized, I was going through my credits, and I was like, okay, if I really buckle down, I can get this done in 3 years. So my freshman year, I was doing competitive cheerleading. We went to nationals. I, did really well in all of my classes. My second year of college, I didn't do cheerleading, but I also went to massage therapy school at the same time that I was at Ambrose. Graduated from there, and then my third year at Ambrose, which was my final year, I got back into cheerleading. I was able to work as a part-time massage therapist in my free time, which was great because you can make your own schedule. And then I graduated a year early, and I still had, I think it was a 3.75 GPA at the end. So yeah, really pushed myself there. But after college, I traveled a little bit that summer. I was a nanny up in Canada, which was really fun. I highly recommend it. Yep.
Wow.
So anyone who wants to travel and doesn't have the money to pay for it, I highly recommend looking into nannying because I did that twice, 2 different countries, and it was amazing. But then I came to Chicago, and it was then that I found out I was pregnant with my firstborn son. He's 4 now, and that's when I got my first job as a personal trainer in Chicago and started to build my career that way. And what helped, because like I said, personal training is a lot of sales, but I knew I had this little person who was depending on me. So I was like, I didn't have a choice. Like, I couldn't fail at personal training. Like, I had to make this happen, and I had a great job, and I picked out this gym. I was like, I'm going to work there, and I'm going to be a top trainer there, and it's going to be awesome. And I remember the day that they offered me the job, and I was standing on one of the L platforms when I got the phone call. And as soon as I got off the call, I just started crying, like tears of joy. I'm like, this is happening. So I was with that gym for about 3 years, and I worked my way up. I was one of the top 5 trainers there, and they now have, I think, 11 locations in Chicagoland. When I first started there, it was just 9, but a big corporate gym only in the Chicago area, and to be top 5 was it took a lot of work, but I wanted to make it happen because I wanted to provide for my little family.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes a difference. Like, making money is always important because there's always bills and you need gas for your car and these different things. But when you have a little face looking up with you, they just know you're going to take care of them.
Yeah.
They don't think, Mom might not make it.
Right.
It's like, okay, Mom, can I get that new toy?
Yeah.
They don't know that, the gas and light bill and the apartment or the house.
And the daycare bill.
The daycare. It's like the best money you'll ever spend because they're like taking care of your most prized possessions. But it's still hard to know that you're working away from your children to then pay for them to be with someone else. But that's why, I love my daycare provider and she's worth every penny. But yes, it's hard to put it all in there. But it's so important, especially when you have those children, that you can't fail.
Right.
It's not an option.
It's not an option.
Right. And then, so social media, you talked earlier about how it's sales with the personal training to make it work. And so you've created loads that we've talked about already. So you have this passion for health and social media, and now you're with us at Bytable Foods.
Yep.
So what do you think about Bytable Foods first? Because, this is a newer thing the last few months. What are your just thoughts on it?
When I first heard about Bytable Foods, I actually have a funny story about how I first actually heard of you guys. But anyway, when I first actually learned what you guys were, I loved it because coming from a health and fitness background and having a degree in human performance and fitness, like, of course, I've had to take nutrition classes to get there, and I've had to learn and, taking care of my own health and, especially after baby, that's a whole other thing. You've got to learn about your nutrition. Just knowing, because I try to make the best food choices going to the store, but with Bytable, we're working so hard to make your food transparent and traceable all the way back to the source. And I think that's going to help consumers so much in making decisions, because when you're able to scan a code and see, like, oh, my food came from here, it's really cool. And it helps you can support local farmers. You know where your food's coming from. You can make those healthier decisions for yourself, which I think is amazing.
Absolutely. And it is important because I know when I shop, I try to stay more towards like the outside of the store, and I feel good when my cart's getting full, fruits and vegetables and all these things. But there still is that scare of, things happen. There's recalls. You can get sick. It's like, oh, okay, I can suck it up and make it through it. But, we have children that do this, that eat too, and you don't want to get their little bodies sick as well. But it's bound to happen. But it's if we can make better choices and know where our food comes from, and if there is a recall, knowing where actually the recall came from. Because like I've said this in other podcasts, I'm sure there's loads of food being thrown out that doesn't need to be.
Exactly.
That does not need to be. And I love how you brought up the supporting the local farmers, because I think that's an important thing. We have farming in our family, and, he does a fabulous job. And if it could support, him in any way, I think it's great.
And especially with the food recalls, you know, if you buy, for example, the romaine lettuce recall that happened recently, like let's say you bought some romaine lettuce, well, being able to know where it came from and where the contamination happened, like you could go back and check, like, oh, my romaine lettuce didn't go through this place. It's not contaminated. So then you don't have to throw your food away. You're not wasting money. And so that helps you as the consumer, but then it's also going to help the retail grocery store,
Right.
you know, so they can see like, oh, well, luckily ours didn't go through that area of contamination, so we don't have to get rid of it all. And that's just great.
Well, I think it helps a lot of people, like you said. And some people are, I think, afraid of the word transparency. It's like, I don't think most people are actually hiding anything. Don't be afraid of transparency. It helps. And if anything, like the local farmers, you may not be able to say organic, but you might be better than some of the places that are labeled organic. And so I think that helps the farmers that are, you know, really taking their time and doing everything right. And they can actually prove what's gone through their food, and people can say, oh, that's not so scary. Because I think we hear lots of different like labels on things and no one truly knows what it means. You just know that it might sound scary even though maybe it shouldn't.
Right.
So transparency, and I think transparency is important everywhere. I've noticed transparency just with you and watching you on social media. I mean, I think you're as transparent as it comes. You put yourself out there.
And it's hard. It's not easy
No.
just to talk about the hard things that you've gone through, but being transparent is important if you want to make connections with other people and help other people. So it's just as important in your business as it is in the food industry.
Right. And I think just it goes back to what you said earlier about putting yourself out there. Don't be afraid. I mean, the people who are going to like you are going to like you. The people who don't, they don't have all the answers, or maybe you just say,
Yeah.
I don't care, not in a mean way, just be like, I know what I'm doing is the best for me, and I can't have that negative self-talk in my head.
And the people, like, if you're growing your business through social media and you're utilizing live video, the people who don't care about what you have to say, they weed themselves out.
Yes.
And you don't even know. Like, they just stop following you. Great. They're going to find somebody else that they connect with, you know. But I've met some of my best friends through social media in this past year, which is crazy to think about. Like, I've never actually met them in person, but we've done live videos together, and we, you know, chat all the time online, and we support each other. Like, it's great how social media really connects the world.
Well, it's like a whole new group of friends. It's like, hey, I may not hang out with you in person,
Right.
but, you know, we're still there for each other, and they might understand you more than even some of your closest friends you actually get to maybe go, you know, have a drink with, or, you know, a movie, or, you know, anything, just hanging out, because they see you in a different light in like your professional world, and they know your struggles or your successes. And I just think that, I think it's really cool. I don't have many like online friends, but I think it's a really neat thing to do.
Yeah, especially then when you do eventually get to meet each other in person. Like, it's just so exciting because you feel like you've known them for so long because you have online. But then when you actually get to be face to face, it's incredible to think about how you got there.
Oh, our world is forever changing, especially with social media.
Oh, definitely.
So how did you transition from a career in fitness to a career in social media?
Well, actually, so I had built my career in fitness back in Chicago. Like I said, one of the top 5 trainers in the company. And then I decided it was time to move back to the Quad Cities, because in Chicago, if I wanted to take my son to the park or just be outside in general, we had to walk to actually get to a park to play. We couldn't just go in the backyard because we didn't have a backyard.
Right.
We were on the 14th floor. And also he would go to bed at 7:30, and then I'd just be stuck in the apartment until the morning when he got up because I couldn't leave, you know, and that wasn't how I wanted to raise him long term. And even though I absolutely loved my job in Chicago, it was time to come back to the Quad Cities. So came back here. I had a part-time job lined up with Orange Theory Fitness, which is where I coach now, but it wasn't open yet. So the first couple months that I was in the Quad Cities, I was just kind of sitting around, and I was having a huge identity crisis because I was so used to like working so much and bringing in a really good income that I had in Chicago. And I was just, it was leading to some anxiety and just like I said, in an identity crisis. So somebody came to me. It was actually someone I know through Orange Theory, and she showed me this lipstick that like doesn't come off. And, being in fitness, I had never worn makeup or cared about makeup because I was always working out wherever I could squeeze in my own workout between clients. Like, ain't nobody got time to reapply lipstick and makeup during the day when you're in fitness, and plus I was teaching water aerobics at the gym where I was at too, so I was getting in the pool, so I never cared really to wear makeup or anything. But I tried this lipstick and I was like, oh, this doesn't come off. Like, it really doesn't come off. And I remember the first day I put it on and I went home and I ate my lunch, and then I was like, oh, my lipstick. And I pulled out my phone, turned it on selfie mode, and I was like, oh, it's still there. This is really working. So I, of course, started taking selfies, sent it out to my friends, and everyone's like, oh, where'd you get that? And I started sending them my friend's name who had got me to try it on. And I was actually started thinking about my mom. It was getting close to Mother's Day, and my mom always wears very, very bright pink lipstick. And she was notorious at her office for leaving pink lipstick marks on her coffee cups. So you would always know which cup she was using because there was bright pink lips on it. And I was like, oh, this would make a perfect Mother's Day gift for her. Like, I need to get this for her. And then I was thinking, well, my grandma needs it too. And like all these people. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to pay full price for everyone to have these. So I started my first business. It's a network marketing company. And I started running my business primarily through Facebook, and I have been on Facebook since my freshman year of high school. So my Facebook is actually like 12 years old. So I started turning it, instead of just using it as a toy to, look at pictures of friends and family, I started using it as a tool to grow my business and started learning more about using social media marketing to grow a business online and how to attract your ideal customers and how to, make authentic connections with people while being yourself. And then I realized, okay, everyone needs to know this because there are so many people who are entrepreneurs, whether it's in network marketing or any business that you're starting. Like maybe you make jewelry or maybe you, whatever it is that you're doing. It's such a great tool just to get your name out there and attract new customers and clients to you. Right. So I was like, okay, everybody needs to know this. So I started figuring out ways to teach other people what I was doing. And then in January, I was actually down in Florida and I was driving around with my best friend, and she played this TED Talk for me. And I cannot remember what the guy's name was, but he was saying that if you commit 1 hour a day to learning a specific topic for a whole year, you'll have the equivalent of a college education in that topic.
Wow.
And I was like, at the end of the TED Talk, I looked at her and I said, I'm doing social media marketing. And she was like, okay.
Yeah, do it.
And so I started looking for new resources and looking for new ways to train myself and to learn all the technical side of Facebook and other social media platforms. I'm primarily focused on Facebook. And I started really committing, like I said, back in January. It's September now, so I've got lots of months under me, and plus everything that I was learning before that.
Right.
And I feel super confident in my skills, and it's opened up so many new doors. And like I said, my degree from college is in human performance and fitness. It has nothing to do with marketing. I think people who are going into careers in fitness should be taking marketing classes, like now that I've lived through it, because you need to, know how sales works and that kind of stuff. But that's not what my degree is in. But I focused, found resources, found mentors. A lot of the stuff that I've learned is just free. So I did that online. I'm also in some paid communities where I really learned the technical side of Facebook. Obviously, I've met some incredible people through it, just really talented women, especially, that I've connected with. And it's opened so many doors now. I have some other people that I help with their social media marketing, especially network marketers. I really focus on them a lot for my own personal business and helping them ignite their direct sales business on social media. And I do have clients like Bytable, where I am doing the social media consulting, kind of being that background person who runs the Facebook. So I guess the main takeaway from this story is, like I was saying with the tumbling, you're never too old to learn a new skill. Like, you just have to go for it. You have to get committed to what you're trying to do and show up every day and learn these new things. And you can have a second career or third career or fourth career. It doesn't matter how old you are. You can still take it to the next level and something totally different.
And I feel like people get stuck or comfortable or both. And I think it's hard. Like, well, I went to school for this, so I just need to stay in it. And it's like, no, you're like 45. How many years do you plan on working? A while yet. Like, get out there. If it's something that you really enjoy doing, start dabbling it. And then, you can gradually do a little more. And then once you feel like you can make that leap, do it. Like, I have my own little side, like, photography business, and it's so much fun. But I got into it when I had my first son. And I'm like, oh, I see all those cute pictures. Like, I want those cute, like, beautiful pictures just when, like, he's playing in the house, not when we sign up for a photography session. So I bought a little camera, started learning, and it was harder than I thought it would be, as I think most things are. But I stuck with it because it was important to me, and it was something I could still do because I am very passionate about teaching. So it's something I could still do with teaching. And now I just love it. It used to make me so nervous. And I'm like, oh, people aren't going to want my pictures. Like, oh, that's like that negative self-talk. It's like, oh, just do it. Just keep learning. And I did the same thing without knowing. I probably didn't spend an hour a day. But I was working on it all of the time, especially in the summers when I had a little extra time on it. And I'm so thankful I did it because that's just opened a whole new, like, passion for me. Which aligns with teaching. So usually I'm with little kids. And, I know they're squirreling crazy. I'm like, oh, just let them play. I'll snap a photo. It's okay. Don't worry. But I think that's great advice, especially, I'm going to go back to what you said about how your degree is in human performance. But you kind of wish, if you could go back, I wish I was doing great now, but if you could go back and do it again, you may have chosen marketing. Although your path ended up here, so I think everything worked out the way it was supposed to for you. So listeners out there, if you want to be like a trainer or anything, marketing is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Right?
And a lot of times when people start marketing their business on Facebook, whether you're a personal trainer or, like I said, like making jewelry or something like that, where photography, where you're your own boss, a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to take this on Facebook and I'm just going to create a business page and it's magically going to happen. Whereas most of your clients or your really dedicated long-term customers are going to be attracted to you based off of your personality and your personal life. So it's not about promoting your business. It's more about showing people the behind the scenes of your life. And that's what people really love, because people like to do business with people that they like, know, and trust. So that's where a lot of my coaching is focused, is helping people put themselves out there on social media and not be afraid of what people are going to think. Because like I said, if people don't like or don't care what you're talking about, they'll just weed themselves out, and you don't even know. So don't pay attention to numbers or anything.
That's a great point. I still go back to that because I think about that. It's like, you're not going to know. I'm like, just do it. And I think I'm still telling myself that inside right now to the listeners. I'm still talking to myself, but...
And what's so fun about social media marketing and using it to grow your business is it allows you to grow your business from anywhere. You can have that location independence. So location independence is really one of my taglines on the Social Butterflies page, because it means you can run your business regardless of where your body is physically located. So a lot of times I'm doing my live video, still sweatpants from the waist down, but I've got a decent shirt on and I'm just sitting in my living room. Or I've done live videos in a car. I do live videos while I'm on vacation. I can schedule posts out for the week. So if I know I'm going to be really busy that day or on a certain day, I can already have content scheduled to be pushed out throughout the day, like doing all of that in advance. So it really starts to give you that freedom and flexibility to run your business wherever you want to be.
Right.
Which is great.
So what's one of like the craziest or funniest places you've gone live?
Let's see.
Do you have one?
The craziest place. I'm trying to think here.
I'm putting you on the spot here. I was just thinking,
yeah.
I'm like, I wonder if she's had any like funny places.
Right. I've gone live so many different places. We've taken actually, I'm trying to count here, 4 trips down to Florida this year. So that's
4.
always, yes. So that's always
Nice.
an adventure. Doing live videos while you're traveling, because you're like, okay, I need to just make sure I have a signal,
Yes.
you know, and just, I've always had to be really just honest with my family. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This
Right.
is how I'm growing my business. So I've done like live videos on the beach while my family's just off to the side playing in the beach, and I'm off to the side with my selfie stick doing a live video.
Right.
I'm trying to think if there's like a crazy place that I've done one. So my first ever live video was down at the Other Bar in downtown Moline.
The Other Bar.
Yep. So there's all this noise in the background. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, I'm going to go live right here.
Let's do it.
So it's still on my Facebook page. You can go back and find it.
I'm going to have to go find that one.
You'll get a good laugh, because obviously I'm at a bar. I'm not like totally sober there. Was not pregnant at the time. So it's definitely funny to see how far I've come from that first video to now.
Right. So because I know you have a 4-year-old son, and I also have a 4-year-old, so I know how funny and entertaining they can be.
Yep.
Has he ever like gotten in your Facebook lives? Like, oh, hey, here he is.
All the time. So with him, I back in May was a mentor in a community called the Secret Mermaid Cove that was put together by an amazing lady. Her name's Fallon Zoe, and she teaches social media marketing and personal branding. And she had promoted me to a mentor in her community, which was so exciting. And my time during the week to go live in the group was Saturday mornings, which of course my son is home on Saturday mornings. So he liked to be in my videos with me. And the first one that I did in that group, he's sitting next to me and he starts drinking out of his cup. He's drinking his milk, and then he spits his milk out just down his face. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, of course, this is what happens. But that's what's so fun about live videos. You never know what's going to happen. And it really humanizes you and makes people relate to you. He's also been in a bunch of my live videos just in my own personal like VIP customer group.
Oh, yeah.
And even last night, he knocked my phone over during the live video. That's the 3rd time he's done that. And I'm always telling him, like, you need to be careful. Like, don't knock the phone over.
I hear you, Mom, but
he's 4,
something's going to come up. So.
Yeah. So he knocks the phone over, but he's always so fun to just have in the videos. Like, I try to do them when he's not right there, but he likes to come on and like show his toys. He'll like grab a couple and he's like, here's my airplane.
He's going to like probably have his own YouTube channel sometime where he's playing with the toys, where like the other kids get on to like watch kids play with toys. You know how kids like to do that apparently. So that might be him in the making. Like, here's my toys. This is what I do with them. But it does humanize you. And sometimes you're like, oh, how did they not get that done yet? It's like, oh, wait. She's got a 4-year-old boy next to her. Yeah. Life happens. I mean, like, I'll get to that hopefully later. Why are you saying hopefully? Well, because I can't predict what my son's going to do.
Yeah.
And life happens. And I think it makes people more understanding of you.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes. And there are so many moms who want to create a career for themselves. And a lot of times I meet women who have been stay-at-home moms and want to start contributing to their family, or just want to have a career of their own.
To have their own, like, a different identity. Not that being a mom is a fabulous identity, and I would not change for the world, but sometimes I feel that some want that outside identity, outside of, you know, not just being a mom. Like, I love this job, but I also love...
Yeah. And what the beauty of it is, you can do it from home. You can do it from anywhere. You can do it if your kids are there or if your kids are not there. And it's an ever evolving process. So people are always like, oh, I have to have everything figured out before I get started. No, you don't. It's going to change. Like, my customer group had a different name the whole first year that I was in business. And then on my 1-year anniversary, I changed it to my current branding. And I had been thinking about that for a long time, but you don't have to stick with what you start with. It can change over time.
Right.
You know, you don't even have to necessarily know what your business is going to be when you get started, because that could change over time.
Right.
Like I started really doing social media marketing for my own network marketing business, and now I'm doing social media consulting for other people. So you just have to be open to the opportunities and open to that growth that can happen just by getting started. So you don't have to have it all figured out in the beginning. You don't need any fancy tools. All you need is a cell phone. I was telling Carrie before we started this that I ran my business 100% from my phone for the first year before I even got a computer. So it is possible just to get started. You just have to start putting yourself out there. And like I said, when you first start using Facebook Live, which I do want to mention, the reason why I highlight Facebook Live so much is it allows you to leverage your time effectively, working smarter and not harder. So, for example, I'm here having this conversation with Carrie and we're in person, but everyone's going to be able to listen to this podcast later. And so many people, you know, however many people that want to listen to the podcast can hear this conversation in the future. And that's what Facebook Live allows you to do. You have that one conversation and so many people can hear your message versus going door to door and knocking on the doors and saying like, hey, I wanted to talk to you about this, you know? So think of how much time that would take versus doing one video.
No one's got time for that.
Exactly.
And if you do, you're skipping something.
Right.
You can't just say you have time. You're giving up something to do that.
Exactly.
And it's like playing that balancing act. But that was something that resonated with me. And I watch your Facebook Live as much as I can, or at least the replay, because generally I'm teaching or can't see it live. But just get started.
Yep.
That's another thing. I'm like, oh, I haven't done that yet, or this isn't in place yet. Just do it.
Yep.
Just do it.
Exactly. And your first live video, like, you don't have to be on there for 20 minutes or anything. It can be 2 minutes.
Right.
Just say like, hey, this is my first Facebook Live. I'm going to start using this to help make new connections, and I will talk to you later. And you can click end.
Right. Done.
Yeah.
Watch.
And like Carrie was saying, most of your viewers are going to come from the replay. So don't even worry. Like if nobody's watching your live video, that's okay, because they'll see the replay later, which is fine.
That's the scary part for me. I'm like, oh, no one likes me. I don't see those things popping up now.
Right.
Being a little silly right now. But so because you help other companies with their social media, and I'm assuming you're getting them on Facebook Live also. Do you get any pushback, or are they extremely nervous kind of the way I'm talking, or?
Yes. So people do get nervous about going on Facebook Live. But I always remind them, like, okay, not that many people are going to see it at first. Like, just have a conversation. Like, just talk to me. Pretend like nobody's out there. Like, just focus on me and the questions that I'm asking you. And I think that helps a lot, too.
Right.
And it definitely makes it easier to do it with a friend the first time. So whether you're doing a dual live or you have somebody sitting physically right next to you, it just makes it a little bit more fun and a little bit easier to start putting your face out there. And another thing too, because I believe in going live. You don't have to go live every single day, but definitely majority of the days if you're trying to grow a business. And a lot of people say like, well, what am I going to talk about every single day? You can repeat topics because if you are going live every single day or most of the days, and let's say you're talking about, like maybe you're talking about self-confidence or self-love or some sort of topic. Well, a month later, people aren't going to search back and find your video. So it's about learning how to say the same thing a different way. So you can cycle through those topics and then you never run out of content to talk about.
So much to learn. It's never that scary.
Yeah.
So earlier you mentioned the first time you heard of Bytable Foods. Tell me that story.
Okay. So I was in Dancing with the QC Stars, and our CEO's sister was also in the show. And before the show, we were getting our hair and makeup done, and her name's Amanda. She wasn't there yet. And the guy who put the show together was walking around and like double checking whose sponsors were whose. And Bytable had sponsored a table for her. And the guy's walking around and he's like, who's Bytable?
Bytable, yeah.
Yeah, who's Bytable? And he came through like 3 times, like, who has Bytable? And I'm like, what the heck is Bytable? And then a week later, my grandma reaches out to me and she's like, hey, Kevin, who's actually your cousin, wants to talk to you about... I'm still saying Bytable in my head as I'm reading her text. And it wasn't until a couple weeks later, I think when I listened to the podcast, the first episode, I was like, oh, it's Bytable.
Bytable foods.
Yeah.
I love that because I remember I think my mom had come like, oh, here might be someone that might be able to help out with, Bytable foods. And here we are.
Yeah.
It's a small world. It's seriously like it was meant to be that story. Because I thought you heard of Bytable Foods first from Kevin reaching out because my mom. But it wasn't. You saw it at the Dancing with the Stars. That's hilarious. I love it. So, yeah, we were meant to be sitting right here. Oh, yeah,
definitely.
And I'm really excited about the future. And thank you so much for coming on
today.
Yeah. And now you have something else to promote.
Right.
Our podcast together today.
Yep.
Yes. Well, thanks for coming on. We're not gonna keep you too long, so I know you got that awesome little 4-year-old boy to get back to.
Got him to get back there. But just the main takeaway that I hope any of our listeners get today is you are never too old to learn a new skill and to start a new career. Just you have to get committed and you have to go for it.
Get started.
Yep. Get started and then stay consistent.
Absolutely. Thanks, Madie. I know everyone. Oh, how can they find you?
So you can find me on Facebook if you just search my name, Madie Hart. That's to my personal profile, or through the Social Butterflies page. It's just Social Butterflies. You'll see my picture pop up. Those are the 2 easiest ways to get a hold of me.
Okay, find her. You're not going to regret it. I know I don't. Thanks, Madie.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carrie.